18 minutes past 10. John in Geelong. Good morning to you, John.
Hi, look, I'm just listening to your guest there, and my response, I've got a big response, but my initial response is that woman is just full of contempt for people who don't like her worldview, and that's depressing. She seems to think that because her particular way of seeing the world is so wonderful to her, that she thinks anyone who doesn't share that view is worthy of contempt, and that should be dismissed and in fact shut down. Where does she get off holding this view that it's only her view that should dominate and prevail? There are other people who have alternate views which are based on their perceptions, just like she has her views based on her perceptions, and their perceptions are just as valid to them as your perception is to yours.
Okay, I'm going to give Hannah a chance to engage with you and respond, John, but just in breaking news that's come through from the High Court, the High Court has dismissed a class action by thousands of ANZ customers challenging late payment fees on credit cards. The High Court has dismissed the class action, which therefore has been lost. ANZ have won their High Court challenge against the class action, which was trying to describe late payment fees on credit cards as penalties and therefore excessive, and the ANZ have won, and Maurice Blackburn and the class action litigants have lost in the High Court. That's just come through. Now, John, let's get a response for you from Hannah Asafiri. Hang on a second, John. I do want Hannah to have a chance to respond.
John, look, actually, I think you've misunderstood my sentiment. My contempt is for a conversation that just assumes we're stupid. I'm a big advocate of everybody having an opinion and that opinion being debated and discussed in a reasonable and humane manner. My contempt is for a conversation that's been on offer that's purely nonsensical. There's no point engaging something that doesn't make sense. And my contempt is for people who are offering up this conversation and assuming that we're all idiots and need to be sitting here and listening to it. That's simply what I'm advocating, John.
All right, John, response?
Well, you're assuming that the people who have alternate views
are
also idiots.
Hang on, Hannah. Go ahead, John.
You're assuming that the people who don't share your view are so idiotic that they're not even worthy of being heard, that they should be shut down, as you said earlier. And that the so-called progressive ABC, because you labelled them progressive and John didn't challenge you on that, which is interesting, you assume that because the ABC is so progressive, they shouldn't have such views on the progressive ABC. I mean, that's just terrible.
Yeah. Look, again, I reiterate, I think you misunderstood my sentiment.
I think a lot of people would have assumed that that's what you said.
My sentiment is the contempt is for what's been on offer that is nonsensical, that doesn't make any sense.
But it's not nonsensical to others.
But even in facts, when we go and do fact checks, what is being on offer doesn't make any sense. It doesn't follow any set of rules.
Not only sense to you, but it does make sense to other people.
But even to other people, if you look at fact-checking, all the information that's been grounded in this discourse, it's actually absurd.
Well, I want to tackle one particular thing.
Yes.
You say that the fear of Islam in Australia is irrational, but I'd like to point out to you that there is a particular problem with Islam, and that is that it doesn't really integrate. That there's a mindset in the Islamic community which holds that people who are not of Islamic faith are the enemy, or at least they are so different that you don't integrate with them because they're just not the sort of people you want to mix with. In fact,
hang on, John. How do you reconcile that with Hannah, who is sitting in here with me now talking to you, with Waleed, who's now on nightly television?
They're the exceptions to the rule. I've read enough about this.
Exceptions to the rule. The Islamist crazies are the exception to the rule. It's the other way round, mate.
And there's also another problem, that is that Islamic culture produces high amounts of children, high birth rate, and they are living in Western countries where there is now plummeting birth rate amongst the white population, and so there is a genuine concern that the Islamic populations are going to expand while the whites are going to contract, and the Islamic populations are simply going to get bigger at the expense of the locals and take over. John, that's a genuine fear.
Yeah.
Okay, Hannah?
Okay. Look, John, all these kind of hypotheticals, I guess, that you're putting up are precisely what I'm talking about, that these things are just based on our anxiety. And yes, we're all afraid. And let me share with you, I'm afraid of ISIS as you are afraid of ISIS. And most of the people that I network in with within the community, equally share that fear. So, and we're not about to overly populate the world, and you cannot place me in a camp. You don't know me, and I don't know you, and we're here having a conversation in a free world, gladly and thankfully. But I do require, at the very least, when you converse with me, that it be grounded in some sort of facts, because I can't allay your anxiety if it's simply based on hysteria that's not grounded in any facts. No one I know is wanting to populate the world and take over the West.
Let's move on. There's a full board and others want to have a go as well. Thank you for your call, John. In Richmond, Joe. Good morning to you, Joe, and welcome.
Ganz ehrlich, der Islam wird in Deutschland kommen, ob du willst oder nicht. Deine Tochter wird Kopftuch tragen. Sein Sohn wird Bart tragen. Okay? Und deine Tochter wird einen Bärtigen heiraten. So, und wir vermehren uns immer mehr. Ihr Deutschen kriegt ja keine Kinder. Ihr kriegt höchstens, wenn es hochkommt, 2 Kinder. Wir machen 7, 8. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Kollege? Und dann nehmen wir uns auch nochmal 4 Frauen, dann haben wir 22 Kinder. So, ihr habt vielleicht ein Kind und ein Hündchen. Ne? Und das war's. Kollege, das ist nicht unsere Schuld, das ist eure Schuld. Wenn ihr unsere Länder ausgebeutet habt, kolonisiert habt, damit du einen Mercedes fahren kannst und deine Digitalkamera da benutzen kannst, so macht Allah Azza wa Jal, der allmächtige Gott, macht das so, dass wir euch erobern, nicht mit Krieg hier in Deutschland, sondern mit Geburtenraten, erstens. Und zweitens, wir heiraten eure Töchter. Ja? Und deine Tochter wird Kopftuch tragen. So, jetzt kannst du richtig einmal durchdrehen. Ja, man sieht schon richtig den Hass in deinen Augen.